What up, Wax? I'm driving to work right now. Here's my jingle.
That's what we've come to. That's where we are in Wax's podcast history, past, present, and future. As far as the jingle is concerned, I tell you, you can do any jingle you want. I'll play any jingle that you send me. So Robert C., you send me a fart noise jingle. The week after, Michael, the former security guard, sent me whatever the fuck that was last week. We used to have the beautiful rendition from Aaron the violinist. The blissful trumpeteering from Jay Cubs. The intense beauty that was the Patient Zero jingle. Heavy metal to start off your day, turning a shitty day into a rage-filled, yet happiness-filled barrage of guitars and drums. And of course, we had the Meek Mill remix, not even knowing what a podcast is. And now we have Robert C. lazily recording on his iPhone. First of all, I don't give a fuck that you were driving to work. Why did you have to start it off like that? What's up, Wax? I'm driving to work right now. Here's my podcast jingle. Are you driving to work right now? Thanks for geotagging your jingle. Yo, I'm going to geotag my jingle verbally right now. That said, I was going to say, like, who does that? Who says where they're at before recording? But it's actually true that a lot of rappers will be like, I'm in the studio right now. Yo, this is MC Timbach 3. I'm in the booth right now. I'm in the vocal booth. I'm in the studio, which is in... That's like that old Souls of Mischief one. We in the studio right now. We in Oakland, California. Yo, what's up right now? I'm in the vocal booth, which is in the studio, which is in my house, which is in Sherman Oaks, California, which is in the county of Los Angeles, California, which, by the way, is in the state of California, which resides in the country of the United States of America on the planet Earth, which is in the Milky Way galaxy in the solar system of the universe. And we're about to do my jingle. But yeah, that's what we got. That's where we're at now. Fart noises via iPhone. That's where we're at. But yet, I will continue to say, if you send me a jingle, I'll play it. I think Robert C.'s jingle this week was much more pleasant to listen to than the annoying coffee mug bashing of last week. No offense to either of you. Well, yeah, fuck it. Offense to both. Offense to both of you. That's where we're at. Wax's podcast, episode 132. Yes, coming at you another week. Another week straight. And you know what? Last week on Wax's podcast, I announced kind of like a little wager, huh? I put $500 up. I told you that I would be clean, sober, and healthy. No alcohol, no cigarettes. Exercise, do yoga. 6 days a week, I think I said. 6 days a week of yoga. Yet again, I can telepathically hear a lot of your homophobic remarks. I can hear them. I can feel them. Now that I've been doing yoga so much, I can feel in my in my aligned chakras or whatever the fuck. I can feel your homophobic remarks carrying through the wind and hitting me in my pores and skin and various organs. And they come up to my brain where I can hear them. I'm not going to repeat what you're saying because it would be mean. But yes, I told you that if I didn't do 30 days without a sip, without a puff, or without a fucking downward dog, I might actually have to switch the yoga thing. You're not supposed to do yoga 6 days a week. It's going to fuck my shoulders up. Might have to switch that to might have to go to the gym. Yeah, that'd take the homophobia away. Instead of going and doing something peaceful in a room full of beautiful women, I'm going to go to a place and fucking where a bunch of men scream. Ugh! Huh! Hey, man, can you spot me? Hey, will you touch my pecs and let me know if they're solid, sturdy? Hey, excuse me, while you spot me, will you feel my ass? I don't know what the fuck. What the fuck? I don't know, man. I'm just saying shit. It's not easy to podcast. Y'all think it's easy. Get mad at me when I don't do one for a week. It's not easy to sit here and talk and ramble. I got things to do. My mind's in another place. Thank God I do yoga and I'm able to focus on one thing at a time. Because I'm thinking about shit I got to do later today. I'm thinking about shit that's going on in the world. I'm thinking about shit that's going on with my friends and family, politics. Not really thinking about politics, but I'm just making shit up because you have to on this podcast. You have to make shit up as you go. Back to the 30-day challenge. What did I call it? The 30-day recharge, re-energize, I don't remember. 30 days of health. I told you that if I failed, the first 25 people that emailed me, I would send them $20 via PayPal. I told you that. That's $500. Right? That is $500, right? That's a $500 wager on my part that I put up. So open up your fucking email browsers. Go to your Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or Linux or some bullshit old DOS formatted program that's text only. Go there now. Open it up. Go to the send to. Go to the to section. Write beatsforwax@gmail.com. Go to the subject section. And write 30-day challenge failed by Wax. And now go up to the top left corner where there's an X and click that because I didn't fail the fucking challenge. Today's day 10, going strong. Not even difficult. Not even having any trouble. I will say the first few days, whenever I do these little periods of sobriety and health, obviously the hardest thing is the first few days without nicotine. That's the hardest fucking shit about it. And you're like, dude, how can you, all these times you've quit smoking cigarettes, why the fuck would you start back up again? You think I don't know that's stupid? You think I don't know that's a bad decision? I know it's a bad decision, but it always goddamn happens. Can't you just be happy that I at least maybe gained 2 days onto my shortened life? You know, let's say I do get a smoking related disease. Let's say I'm lucky enough to make it into my 60s. Then I'm not even going to say which one it is. I mean, it's like Wheel of Fortune. It's like roulette. There's 35 plus the 2 greens. So many different diseases you could possibly get that kill you from smoking. Let's say I get emphysema mixed with lung, throat, and gum cancer all in the same day in my 60s. This 30-day period will make it so I get 1 extra day of life. And I'm going to make that day count. On that day, my last day of living that I fucking got myself, because of this 30-day challenge, where I brought my lungs a little less, I made them a little less blackened. You know when you use your grill a bunch of times without cleaning it properly? And then the bottom of the grill has all that shit on, all that grease and just shit that'll catch on fire if you don't clean it next time. And then you get out something to break it up. Most of us have a tool that's like a brush on one side. It's almost like an ice scraper. That grill tool that's sort of like an ice scraper. And you give it one smack, and you can kind of take it up piece by piece. Imagine that's a lung, and this 30-day section is like taking one little piece of that black stuff off of there. And that ends up giving me 1 extra day of life when I have 3 different kinds of cancer combined with emphysema when I'm 62. You know what I'm going to do on that last day of life? I'm going to go to a lake. a local lake on a sunny day and feed bread to the ducks. And I'm going to look out at that lake and say, God, the world is beautiful. As the sun sets on both the day and on my life, I will be happy, joyful, and ready to pass on to the next stage where I turn into dirt. I don't know. I don't think I believe in the afterlife. So I think that you just turn into dirt. I think that if there is like an quote unquote afterlife, I don't think you remember the first one. That's what I think it works. Anyway, all that to say, I'm successful on the journey so far. Day 10, day 31 is my birthday, y'all. So I'm looking forward to that. Gonna have a good time. Speaking of my birthday, I share a birthday with my twin brother. If you don't know how fucking twins work. Fucking twins. I've always thought that was weird, like, being a twin myself, I always thought it was a little weird that, like, guys fantasize about being with twins. I understand fantasizing about being with two women, but Jesus Christ, these people are sisters. You want sisters to make out with each other? I don't know. I thought that was a little strange. Little strange, but, so is life. Life is a little strange. But as I will be on my 62nd year, last day, as I mentioned earlier, as I will be then today, I am happy. This whole year, man, this whole year of 2017, I've been in really good spirits. And I think it's because life is much more simple than we give it credit for. I discovered when I was a fucking tyke, when I was a young, youthful, prepubescent lad, I discovered what I like. I discovered that I like to play the guitar and write songs and sing and rap my songs. I discovered that as a tyke. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, the way to be happy is to do shit you like to do. Is that fucking rocket scientifical? Is that surgery of the cranium? No, it's not. If you want to be happy, just do shit you like to do. That's what I've been doing this year. I've been playing guitar every day, writing songs every day, singing songs every day. Sometimes I throw some chicken on the grill. Sometimes I sit outside. Yesterday, I took a walk in the park. I don't even have kids. I don't even have a girlfriend. And I feel fucking great doing yoga. Even the occasional, I know alcohol is a depressant, but this year it hasn't bothered me. It's been joyous whenever I was raging, when I went to Vegas and such. Just feeling good, man. Feeling great. And I'm going to carry this good feeling with me through the rest of the year, I think. I hope. Got a show tonight. Doing a couple new acoustic songs. I am going to put, this is Wednesday, whatever fucking date. What date is it today? The 15th? The Ides of March. It is the Ides of March. Wednesday the 15th. Tonight I'm doing a couple acoustic songs. If you're in Los Angeles, 10 p.m. at the Improv on Melrose in Hollywood, California. You ever heard of it? Hollywood? The land of the stars? Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, heard of them? I Love Lucy, they were the stars, heard of them? Fred and Ethel Mertz were their co-stars. I don't know what their real names were. I just know their character names. Huh? Heard of them? Shirley Temple? Milton Berle? Huh? Or George Burns? Yeah. Or more modernly, who's a modern star? I have no fucking idea. I never watch movies. I never go to the movies. The Oscars were the other day or last week or whenever they were. I hadn't heard any of the fucking movies. The only reason I had heard of any of the movies is from people talking about how they were nominated for Oscars. I don't pay attention to none of that shit. Yeah, so I'm doing a couple new acoustic songs. Well, one of them's not new, but I'm doing mostly new shit. It's probably just like 3 or 4 songs at the Improv tonight, 10 p.m. in the lab, the small room there. The Everything Show, hosted by Jake Adams. So if you happen to hear this today, head down there. But also, more excitingly, it looks like I'm going to have my own show starting up. More details coming soon, but I think May 10th is going to be the first one of those. Fuck. That made me think of stuff I got to do for that. I got to get some stuff straight for that. But yeah, so that's another thing I got going. I'm going to start doing a monthly show in May and just try to do it every month and then just build my setup. Doing some new joints, some new songs that are fun. And yeah, I don't know what else to tell you besides that. I have no fucking idea what to tell you besides that. Oh yeah. I had a fun experience this week. I had a few fun experiences this week, but this past Friday. So I might have mentioned last week that me and my roommate Davey Nathan, we have a side project. We kind of accidentally started a side project like years ago where we make like 1980s type of music. And we've had an EP done for a while now, but we didn't know how to put it out because we thought, if we're going to put out a fucking EP, we might as well have a video. We got to have a music video. So finally, we actually tried to make a music video before and it just sucked. It just wasn't very good. We didn't like it, so God has I don't know if there's a God, but if there is, he has a God or the universe or just fucking random luck, however things happen. Sometimes they have a way of working out. I kind of hate when people say everything happens for a reason. Like, does it? You can create a reason for anything. But in this case, I'm not saying this happened for a reason, but the other video not being so great, which made us not put out the 3-song EP we had at the time, has made it so now we have a 5-song EP with arguably a better lead single, with hopefully what will be a better music video. Anyway, I'm shooting the music video in a couple weeks, and it's been a while since I've done a music video, but I've done a lot of them in the past. But what I've never done is like a real like dance music video. Like the kind of dance music video. Like I did some shitty dancing in one of my music videos. But this is the kind of thing where like there's a lead girl. There's a lead girl in the video and she really has to like know how to dance. She has to be a fucking dancer. So because of that, my friend Brianna, who is producing the video, is putting together auditions. Auditions for dancers to be the lead character in this video. And this past Friday, I went to one of the casting audition, whatever you call it. Audition sessions? Casting sessions? So it's me and Brianna behind this table in this little room. And it's like, you're like, all right, next, come in. And the girl comes in. She's kind of dressed the part. She kind of like saw the email. She kind of dressed like Madonna in the 80s. And she kind of says her name. There's a camera. We're recording everybody so we can show the directors and shit, get their opinion on people, and eventually pick the right person. And they say their name into the camera, and then we play the song, and they just start dancing. And then when they're done the dance, Brianna shuts it off after like 30 seconds. Is like, okay, well, we'll let you know. And maybe this is one of those had to be theirs. But when you're in like a little, especially if you think like I think, when you're in like a little room and you just see a girl and she fucking, some of them weren't prepared at all. Some of them didn't know anything about what was going on. They just kind of showed up, but like they're prepared for it. They might even choreograph something. They dressed up for it. They're in Hollywood. They got dreams. And they do their dance, and then they will go. And for me, it's hard not to find it funny because like when you're in a little room like that, especially considering the song is this like weird like 80s song we made, like dancing like that is kind of inherently silly. Like to put on your facial expression, and then start doing spins and kicks and shit and splits in a room, which is me and Brianna, and you're just doing like a crazy split, then jumping up and doing a kick where your foot hits your face. One girl actually did fall. One girl actually did fall to the point where like afterwards we're like, "Yo, are you okay?" And she was, "Yeah, I'm good." And then she hobbled out. But it's interesting, man. It's interesting to watch. And after you're there for hours and hours, you can easily see how somebody that fucking does that for a living, whether it's dancing or just casting in general, like if every day you go into a casting room and you have to cast for a movie or whatever it is, cast for tours, cast for music videos, cast for movies, cast for TV shows. If you're casting for the same part by like the end of the day, forget the end of the day. How about the end of 2 weeks of doing it every day? Somebody walks in with a smile on their face. After a while, you've seen so many people that like, it's like, why even have them read the lines? Why even have them do the dance? I know right now from looking at your face that you're not the right person. You can see how people would start to get mean. You can see how people would start to get so fucking brutally honest they would seem like a complete asshole. Girl walks in, nope, turn back around. She's like, what? I didn't even get to read the lines. It's your face. It's your face, miss. I can tell by looking at your face, it's not pretty enough. And, you know, being pretty or ugly is one thing, but I guess that's not something you can fix too much unless you do a bunch of plastic surgery and get skin creams and I don't know. But I can imagine, especially back in the day, but even now too, it's like, next, nope, you're black. This wasn't a black part. No, I'm too old. No, don't you talk to me, you old bitch. But you can just see how, you know, I'm not saying that the person would be an asshole like that, but I can just see how, like, after a while, it's like we're not wasting time. I don't know. It was an interesting life experience because even just doing it for like 4 hours that day, after a few hours, you kind of get this weird feeling of like a power trip. You really do. People are walking into the room hoping to get the part, and it's kind of like they have to be nice to you. You know what I mean? It's like you know, it's like being a person who interviews people for jobs, but like a different kind of job. You know. It's also funny that like people would audition for this thing like as if this is a real big part. I think that people that are dancers are into this one because at least for this part you're the main person in it, and it's like a period piece. You get to do some 80s shit. Like people that are dancers appreciate shit like that. They're like, yeah, I used to love those old Janet Jackson and Madonna videos. Or then there's like the 90s era. Yeah, I used to love like the R&B videos and the boy band and girl band videos. You know, all these eras of dancing, you know. I think people like to play dress up. I don't know. It was just fucking interesting. Good life experience for me. Another good life experience for me. This past Sunday, I was down in San Diego, and I got to get up and I went to the G Love and Special Sauce show. I told him I was going to come. He was like, yo, you got to do a song. Got to the venue, ended up going back to the bus where he was at, and he was like, yo, let's do the song we did on your album, So High. And he already had the shit worked out on guitar. He knew all his shit. I had to memorize my verse. Back there backstage with my phone on Spotify, trying to memorize my own shit. Got to perform with, G Love's one of my idols, man. I used to listen to G Love when I was in fucking high school. And he's still doing his thing. Inspirational dude, man. He's a really fun dude to watch. He's really that, like, it's hard to I don't know what I mean when I say this, but like he's really that dude. Like G Love is fucking G Love. When he's on stage, like he ain't fronting. He's having fun, man. He's having a good time and just fucking expressing himself with his music, you know. It's fucking dope to watch. And it was a really good time. I feel like I did a good job, killed it, had a lot of fun. Sober as a church mouse the whole time. Got to be the designated driver for my brother, Herbal T, who doesn't get to get out much. He got to have a couple drinks. And, you know, we kind of fanboyed out a little bit. Took pictures. It was fucking awesome. Had a really good week. What else is going on this week? I don't know. Did I write anything else down? Did I write out? I wrote down something this I guess that was like late last week. I watched a documentary that I wanted to talk about. The Inside Job documentary. I don't know if I feel like talking about it. There's a documentary called Inside Job on Netflix. And no, it's not 9/11 was an inside job. That's a different one. This one's just called Inside Job. It's narrated by Matt Damon. But the movie's from 2010, so it's a little bit old. I wish they would have done it a couple years later so we could get a little bit more information about where the situation was at now. But you got to watch that fucking documentary, man. You got to watch it. It's a little bit infuriating, and it's just like, it's just, as far as what's going on now in government, as far as what's been going on since it's about the 2008 economic collapse. I don't really feel like talking about it right now. I don't really feel like going into it, but basically, Wall Street just stole money from all of middle America and completely got away with it. More than got away with it. Not only did they get to keep all the money and not get in any legal trouble, all the money that they stole, the government reimbursed. And then they pretty much started stealing that again. And now Trump and all his appointees, who are from those same companies that did that shit, are talking about how that we need to get rid of all these regulations. I think if you do watch it, I'm not going to go into details in the movie. First of all, it was last week, so I don't remember all the details. Second of all, I've been talking about how happy I am. I don't feel like getting mad again. But just think about this when you watch it. I recommend watching it and think about this. The concept of like trickle down economics, the concept of like we need to give tax cuts to the rich people because those are the people who create jobs, and that'll in turn give the money back to the poor people and middle class people. Watch that documentary. Just watch that and see if you still think that has any fucking semblance of truth. The people at the top of Wall Street are way more greedy than the average person. And if you give them extra money, they will give it to themselves as bonuses and put it in their bank account. And they do it quickly because they're like, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to have this. Better get it now. Buy a fucking yacht now. Turn that shit into real estate now. It's fucking insane, man. Our system's really corrupt, man. What I got? Let me go ahead and pause and stop or whatever the fuck you want to call it and get out my shout outs and questions for the week. All right, y'all, we back. Guess who's Bizak? All right, we got Ben K in London. Shout out to Ben K in London. He wants me to shout out his brother's band. The band is called The Morning. TheMorningBand.com. Not mourning like, oh my God, I lost a loved one, so I had to put a U in the word. Just the morning is in. It's early, an early section of the day. TheMorningband.com. And I'll tell you what, he sent a song. He attached a song from his brother's band, Ben K did, and it was a great song. It had like it was like a upbeat, kind of like The Strokes, ish kind of deal. But it was awesome. So I recommend that as well as Ben K does. Of course he recommends it as his brother. It could be the worst band of all time, and Ben K would recommend it because he wants to support his family. That said, I think the shit was good. Okay, we got Petey Machete. Shout out to you, Petey Machete. Shout out to Sully. Shout out to Lucas M. Nick B, the electrical engineer. Ed from Chicago. Shout out to you, Ed. Ed's got a birthday coming up, too. We got Claire H. Andrew L. We got Matthew from Corby. Robert C., who did this week's jingle, the fart noise jingle, as you heard on the top of the podcast. And we got Mrs. Bro, the illest teacher in Texas. Shout out to you, Mrs. Bro. Shout out to your man. You guys were both at the Trees concert this past December in Texas, Dallas, which was a lot of fun. It was really cold. That's what I remember. Do you? Is that what you remember? I'm sure everybody's interested in how cold it was that day. Months ago in Dallas, Texas. I'm sure everybody that's listening to the podcast wants to know. Once I said how it was cold that day, I'm sure that all of you guys were like, really? What was the exact temperature in both Fahrenheit and Celsius? I want to put myself right into your shoes, right into your shivering feet inside of your dumb, cold shoes. All right. This one is from Connor B. You may or may not remember shouting out Dylan from Tipperary, Ireland. Either way, you started joking around saying typical white guy names. Hey, Dylan, this is my friend Connor. This fucked with me because me and Dylan are real good friends. Moving in together soon. And you somehow guessed my fucking name. Just thought that was funny. Have a good one. So I guess maybe 2 podcasts ago, Dylan from Tipperary, Ireland, emailed me, and I started talking shit about the name Dylan because, that's one of those names like Dylan and Connor and Tyler. And as soon as I started saying that, the first name I said was Connor, and sure enough, Dylan's best friend is named Connor, and they're about to move in together. That said, they're from fucking Ireland, so obviously they don't talk like that. So I got that email from Connor. And then the next email I got, I don't know if they were together, if they just heard it at the same time, but then the next email, sure enough, I got was from the same guy, Dylan. These guys are from Ireland, but I read it in that voice. And, and the way that Dylan's email that he sent me ended, the direction his email went, really called for that voice, too. You know what I mean? I'll start using the voice when it starts to call for it. Yo, Wax, Dylan, I'm not going to try to do an Irish accent. I can't fucking do an Irish accent. Yo, Wax, Dylan from Tipperary again. Dylan from Tipperary again. Man, you started the shout-outs. I can't do a fucking Irish accent. I apologize for how horrible that was. Yo, Wax, Dylan from Tipperary again. Man, when you started the shout-outs and started saying my name in that California accent, I'm guessing, and said, hey, my name is Dylan, and this is my friend Connor and Tyler, I legit burst out laughing because I had a friend named Tyler, and Connor is soon to be roommate in college and friend of mine who introduced me to acid. And then when you quoted the Pink Floyd song, Is Anybody Out There? Is there anybody out there? And said, wasn't that a song to listen to on acid as a teenager? I started laughing again and was like, WTF. The first time I listened to the Wall album was on acid. It was like you were talking to me for a second. Anyway, great podcast. Filled out the survey too so you get sponsored and are forced to do the podcast. Signing out as Dylan, Tyler, and Connor. He didn't actually say that. I just thought it was funny that he moved it on to somehow he changed that topic to talking about acid and Pink Floyd and how the first time he listened to the Wall album he was on acid. So not only do you guys have the typical names of dudes that talk like that, this California Dylan, Connor, Orange County dudes, but you also do the same activities as them. Were you also surfing and skateboarding when you listened to the Wall album on acid for the first time? Were you also eating carne asada tacos? Anyway, great podcast, you say. I appreciate that, Dylan. Glad you're listening. I am glad you're fucking listening. Okay, this one says, give a shout out for Andre E. from Portugal. This next one is from Andre E., who resides in Portugal. I love how he said Andre E. from Portugal, and then in parentheses he wrote Europe. That's what people in Europe think of Americans. They think that we don't know that Portugal is in Europe. I mean, maybe some people get confused because most people we know that speak Portuguese are actually from Brazil. You meet a lot more Brazilians than you do Portuguese people. So maybe that's what he was saying. I have no fucking idea. But I knew Portugal was in Europe, Andre E. If you find these questions suitable, he says, what do you feel are the great differences between USA and European people, personally and way of living? Interesting. I was just describing the way that you feel about Americans. You kind of led into a similar topic. USA and European people. I don't know. To be dead honest with you, I don't know a lot of European people, like personally on a day-to-day basis type of deal. I haven't even been over there in years. You know, I spent a lot of time over there, and mostly in 2013. That year, I just happened to be over there all the fucking time. First of all, I don't think either of those things are homogenous. I don't think everybody from the USA is the same, and I don't think everybody from Europe is the same. Shit, especially Europe. I mean, that's a bunch of different countries of people with different cultures, different languages. I think language is a big deal. That's a big thing that separates people. Different food, different ways of looking at life. And obviously there's a big difference between somebody that lives in the UK and somebody that lives in fucking Slovakia or whatever. Just like there's a big difference between somebody who lives in New York City and somebody who lives in the middle of Nebraska. So the great differences between USA and European people, I don't know. I will say that European people are probably in general more liberal on most issues, especially things like guns. I'm talking about percentage wise. I'm not saying every single person, but I'm saying like there's probably more people in the USA that kind of think everybody should have guns and shit. Less in Europe, I don't know. What I've heard and what I think is probably true is that Americans are much more outwardly polite, yet kind of inwardly dishonest about their politeness. Like, I used to hear this especially from German people all the time. Like the example that was used was, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. An American will be like, yeah, we should hang out. We should hang out sometime soon. And a European person would hear that and be like, okay, like when? Like Thursday or what? Whereas an American, when they say, yo, we should kick it soon, they don't really mean it. It's fucking sad because I say that all the time and I never mean it. It's just like you say that to be nice. You're like, yeah, we should hang out soon. Like, yeah, we should. And then you never hang out. But you said you would. You said we should. And you both agreed that you should. It'd be a good idea, in theory. If you say that to somebody from Germany, you say like, yeah, we should kick it sometime. They like look at you like, well, okay, like when? Like Saturday? You want to go hiking? So that's a difference. USA people are more maybe outwardly polite, yet inwardly dishonest about their politeness, whereas European people are more direct. I'm friends with a bunch of Israeli people, and they're definitely, and I've been to Israel too, that like their thing is being direct. They don't beat around the bush about anything. Except, never. I was going to say, they're real into like, I don't know. I don't want to, that's going to sound like stereotypical. So I'm not going to go any further than what I just did. You can just guess what kind of racist thoughts I have about Israelis. What are the differences between people in the USA and Europe? I mean, obviously people in Europe don't think that Americans are very smart, considering you had to make sure I understood that you were in Europe when you said that you were from Portugal. I think that people from the USA are much more, how can I say, Americans don't really give a shit as much about what else is going on in the world besides stuff that's going on in the US. We're much more just focused on ourselves. We don't care about, you know, we don't know who runs the countries in Europe, you know. Right now, a lot of people know Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, but this is the first time since I've been alive that I've ever known the name of the Canadian Prime Minister. But since he's interesting and people think he's good looking, and girls on Facebook will post about Justin Trudeau and be like, "Isn't he hot?" Actually, you know what? I think it's just the fact that we have. It might even be just the fact that we have social media, and I'm friends with people on Facebook that are Canadian and shit, that I know who Justin Trudeau is. Maybe that's a positive thing about social media. But normally we would never even know who the Mexican president or the Canadian prime minister, the countries that directly border us, we wouldn't know that. Or whoever the leaders in Europe are. I mean, I don't know that right now. I know some of it. Angela Merkel. But people in Europe always know what's going on outside of their. They're more focused on world news as well. But I'll tell you that it makes more sense than people in Europe give Americans credit for. Because if you travel to Europe, you know, you can cross 3 borders in a day. 3 different cultures, 3 different ways of living, more than that. Probably, however, I don't know how many, but, you know, if you come to the U.S., you drive for 3 days, you're just driving straight across the country. Like, for us to know all this different shit about Europe is like you guys knowing all the different shit about our states. That's how big our states are. Our states are as big as your countries. California is probably bigger than any. I mean, what's there, 80 million people in Germany? How many people are in California? Probably 80 million. I mean, there's like 9 or 10 just in LA. It's a different thing because we're, you know, geographically, we don't need to know other things. We don't need to know other languages, maybe Spanish. But like, why the fuck would we know German? It's not practical. It's not practical for me to know French. I'll never have to speak French. If you live in Europe, you might run into a lot of people that speak French or speak German or speak Spanish or speak English or whatever it is. That doesn't happen here. It's a different thing. It's just big. It's just a bigger place. All right. Which places did you like to visit in Europe that you have? Oh, which places would you like to visit in Europe that you haven't been to yet? How more profitable are U.S. tours compared to the ones, not sure how many you did, in Europe? Yeah, I'm not really the one to speak on that because, like, Jesus Christ, I toured Europe a couple times, but I haven't done it in so long. And, like, just the kind of artist I am, I'm not really one to speak on the profitability of U.S. tours versus Europe tours. I mean, for me, the U.S. is more profitable because I don't have to fucking fly a bunch of people over there. Got to get a van, hotels, and all that shit over there is more expensive. I have more fans here. I guess the one tour where I did big festivals there, that the paychecks were okay, but the travel expenses were so much that it kind of, you know, made up for it. Here you just jump in a van, stay at the Super 8, and you're good to go. So U.S. is more profitable. Which cities would I like to visit in Europe that I haven't been to yet? I'll tell you this. I've only been to London for like hours at a time, and I never really got to explore it. I'd like to live in London for like a couple months. I haven't been to Sweden. Norway and Finland, those places up there. I did get to go to Copenhagen. That's the closest thing to something similar to that I did, but that's obviously not the same thing. But I've never been to Spain. I've never been to Portugal. I was only in Italy for like 2 hours just to go to the airport. So yeah, I want to go to Rome. I'd like to go to Barcelona, Lisbon. Oh, I take that. I have been to Spain because I've been to the island of Majorca, which is in Spain, but I've never been to mainland Spain. It'd be like as if you've only been to Hawaii. But yeah, I'd like to spend some time over there, you know? God, there's so many places in the world and only so much time. And then the other thing is you have to make money and live your life. I'd like to travel more, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? Maybe in the future. Maybe by the time I retire and have all those diseases like I was talking about, and I'll be there in Lisbon in my wheelchair, unable to breathe. Maybe that's where I'll spend that last day. All right, next question. What up, Wax? This is from whatever. What up, Wax? Been a fan since Freckles on Your Booty by Count Spatula and Bubble Guts. Love your music, man. It provides countless one-liners me and my bro throw at each other every day. My question is, do you have a favorite verse of yours? Maybe one you thought you killed it with the wordplay. I'd love to get a shout out for my little bro Justin K, a.k.a. Gene the Peen Cleaning Machine. Peen is such a funny word. I first kind of heard people, Watsky used to say that. Say peen. Such a funny word for your penis because it's just like if you say like a peen can't be big. You can't have a big peen. You have a big dick, big cock, even big penis. But if you have to shorten penis and say peen, that sounds like the you know like boy, like if you get an erection real fast, it's go like in a cartoon it'll go boy. If you had a little penis, it would go peen. That's the word peen. My own favorite verse. I don't have a favorite verse, and I'd have to think about that for a while. But I will say, as far as just wordplay, killing it with the wordplay, probably the song Coins. Probably the song Coins has the most like cool metaphors and shit. That's what I would say. It's got a lot of good ones in there. Try again, there's no time to waste. Just make sure the drawing board you go back to is dry erase. I don't know. Go back to the drawing board. And then doing it in the video with the dry erase board. It was pretty dope. There was another really crazy line in it. There was a few good lines in that one. But yeah, I'd have to say that one. For the podcast, this is another one. Thank you, Justin K. No, that's your bro, Justin K. Well, what was your name? I think I forgot. Well, shout out to your brother, Justin K. I don't think I got your name. It might have been in your email address, but I didn't fucking get it. All right, this is Meryl M. Meryl M recommends 2 rappers from San Francisco. One of them is T-O-P-R, all capitals. Not sure how you pronounce Topper or T-O-P-R. I'm not sure. And he also recommends Richie Cunning. Richie Cunning is a rapper from SF who I actually saw one of his videos a while ago that was really good. It was called Pure Imagination. I recommend that. That's a really good video and song. But I don't know anything about the other guy, and I don't know anything else about him. As I told Meryl M in my response, there's only so much time, and there's so many musicians and rappers. It's hard to keep up with all of them. That's also why it's hard for somebody like myself even, or Richie Cunning or whoever it is. It's hard to get people to listen to your shit. It's hard to get people's time. Anyway, Meryl M says, for the podcast, can you answer this? What's your biggest fear? Biggest regret? Get fucking deep, he says. Throw a shout out to me if you can. Well, shout out to you, Meryl M. Biggest fear and biggest regret. Biggest regret is definitely starting cigarette smoking. I think back to when I was a young lad, a young man, a mid-teen. Those days when I was smoking the cigarettes. Of course, assuming that it would never be you that was still struggling with that in your 30s. Always assuming that would never be you. You're not a fucking idiot, you know? But alas, it is. And every cigarette smoker will tell you, like, it's weird. Kind of once you know, if you were somebody who never smoked cigarettes and you were, you know, in your 30s and you lit one up, you would fucking choke. You would hate it. You would. But once you're addicted once, you know, if I quit smoking for 20 years and then took a puff off a cigarette, I would immediately not choke and probably be like, that was nice. So I wish, my biggest regret is starting smoking. My biggest fear, you ask? What am I afraid of? Biggest fear? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of this or afraid of that? I don't know that I have a biggest fear. That's a tough question. I mean, because like some people would say like something really, something really concrete, like something that exists in life. Like my biggest fear is spiders. My biggest fear is snakes, sharks. I'm definitely scared of sea creatures. I'm definitely, like, I don't really swim in the ocean. I can't remember the last time I got in the ocean. The couple times I surfed many years ago, like, I had fun to a certain extent, but I'm always wondering, like, what the fuck is under my feet? Had friends that surfed that'll be like, dude, it was so awesome. A dolphin swam right up next to us. I'd be like, fuck that. I don't know that's a dolphin or a shark or if that's a fucking rabid dolphin. Do dolphins get rabies? Do dolphins ever turn around and fucking... I've heard of dolphins not like eating people the way sharks do, but they'll grab onto you and tug you under, and you'll fucking drown. They'll think they're playing. I don't know if it's my biggest fear, but my biggest like fear as far as animals and shit is definitely sea life. Because that's their turf, you know? It's not our turf. We don't have gills. Don't get me wrong, I'd be scared as shit if I saw a lion or a grizzly bear as well. Probably just as scared. I don't know. But then some people their fear would be more like, my fear is I'll never have kids. My fear is I'll never know true love. Or my fear is that I'll be on my deathbed and I'll regret the fact that I didn't try hard enough. I don't really have any fears like that. Yeah, so I'm going to go with sharks and I'm going to go with sea life. My biggest fear is sea life. Thanks, Meryl M. Hey, Wax. My name is Justin and I'm from Seattle and I'm a huge fan of your content. I love your music, podcast, and chain reaction. I need to do some more chain reactions. You guys listening to this podcast, should I continue to do chain reaction? Should I do more episodes of chain reaction? Hit me at Twitter, at Big Wax. Let me know if I should do more. Or if you think that I should say, fuck that. You might even be like, you know what, don't even do podcasts. Just do music. You might even be like, you know what? Give up music, give up podcasts, give up chain reaction, and go into finger painting. I just feel like you'd be good at it. Anyway, you're one of the funniest dudes I know. Thanks, man. Freckles in your booty, bird shit in his habit, and bubble. Wait, didn't you the last guy mention those? I don't. That's all really old stuff. I guess a lot of you guys have been fucking with me for a while. Concerto del Muerto is one of my favorite Wax songs. If you remember, could you describe the process of making that song and Liquid Courage in general? What was it like, and how did you make an album with EOM without ever meeting him? That always surprised me. Your old shit is great, and so is your new stuff. I'm glad Bobby Bloodbath never killed you or EOM. Perhaps you should interview Mr. Bloodbath on the podcast or even put him on your next project. I don't know, man. Do you. Keep doing your thing. Much love. Yeah, damn that album Liquid Courage. Forgot if you guys don't know, I'm in 2008. I did an album. It's called Liquid Courage. If you can't find it on Spotify, it's probably because you're looking under Wax. It's under the artist name is Wax and EOM. And Concerto del Muerto song with me, my boy Android, and then Bobby Bloodbath, who is a character. I actually did the character. I actually did a character, Bobby Bloodbath, and only use him in that one song. It's just like this fucking crazy, like psychotic. What the fuck? Like psychotic rapper. It's just real violent. I should have brought him back. Yeah, I haven't listened to that album in so long, but the process of making it. I met EOM at that time. At that time, MySpace was really popular, and somehow EOM, who was like fucking in high school, I think at the time, he had heard of me through the internet, and then he messaged me on MySpace. And he was like, "Yo, I'm a producer," and he sent me this beat. And the beat was really dope, and I liked it. It had a lot of emotion, and I ended up doing a song to it called "The Adventures of Larry and Tina," which is on that album. And after that, he was like, "Let's do another one," and I was like, "All right." And then he sent me a folder full of beats, and I was like, "Oh, dude, let's just, I like a lot of these. Let's just do an album." Then, it sounds easier than it is to just do an album. It took a long time to write all those songs and record all those songs, but the process of doing an album with somebody you've never met, that's not even an uncommon thing anymore. Especially with hip hop, if it's like there's a producer and then there's a rapper, essentially he's doing all the instrumental stuff and I'm doing all the vocal stuff. So he sends me his initial idea of the beat, and I might have to chop it up to make the 16 this or then the chorus that, or just send him an email and be like, "Yo, can you make the verse a little shorter?" And then the chorus part comes in, then we'll fade out at the end, whatever. So it's actually not even that uncommon. Most collaborations now, I would say definitely most, especially when it comes to like a rap song with a feature. Usually the feature is emailed to you. You don't if somebody lives in a different area, you're not going to fly them out to come to your studio so they can do a 16-bar verse. No, you just send them the instrumental. They'll record it in their area and then email you back the files, and you'll put it together, or vice versa, or whatever. It's really not that uncommon to do. And that was basically the process of making Liquid Courage. Was he would send me beats. He actually sent me like a folder full of beats, and I just started writing songs to them, and I recorded them here. I actually recorded that album while I was in recording school. When I moved to LA, I went to the Los Angeles recording school, and I did actually recorded a couple of the songs at the school, and then I recorded a couple other of the songs with my boy Bailey, who is Android from Concerto del Muerto, at his house that he lived at the time. Yeah, that's crazy thinking back to that. I should listen to that album. I haven't listened to it in so long, but yeah, it was a lot of time. Just like I lived by myself at the time. I didn't know too many people in LA. Not that my life is that different now, but I pretty much sat in my room working on music all the time. Just drinking and working on music. Music and liquor. That's what that is, Liquid Courage. Just drinking 12 packs of Bud Light. At that time I was drinking Bud Light. That was my drink of choice at that time. My little studio apartment that I paid for with student loan money that I still owe. Drinking Bud Light. Bought myself a computer, learned to use Pro Tools. Started making YouTube videos. Ended up working at a once I finished school, I was delivering groceries, writing verses while delivering groceries. I remember doing that. I remember, what's the second song on that album called with all the You Ain't Shit, Man. You ain't shit, man. I remember writing those verses while driving around Hollywood delivering groceries. I remember certain songs on that album, I'd write one verse, and then like months later, I'd write the next verse. Whatever. You gotta let shit come to you, man. But yeah, that was cool. Some songs were more easily done than others. Remember, I had a bunch of problems with the song Tijuana. Still think it sounds like dog shit. I think it was just that sample just has this piercingness to it that makes it hard to listen to. I don't know. People like it. Whatever. God, it's a lot about myself. I guess it is my fucking podcast. All right, we got this is from Olek, who's from Poland. He tried to say at the end, he called himself Olek the Polak. Does that even rhyme? Haha. And I don't know. It's funny because I always thought Polak was a racial slur because when I was a kid, there was a genre of jokes called Polak jokes, and they were pretty much the same as blonde jokes. Like what is it? How many blondes does it take to turn a light bulb? Blah blah blah. It'd be the same. It'd be like just kind of dumb people. Like, hear the new Polak invention? It's a screened-in submarine. Hear the new Polak invention? It's a helicopter with an ejector seat. Those were jokes I remember. Sorry, Olek. I don't know I don't know where those jokes came from. I mean, I don't think I knew one Polish person when I was young. It's kind of dumb, but last night I was watching. Last night, I'm gonna continue watching that today. A documentary on Prohibition, the Ken Burns documentary on Prohibition, and they're starting to talk about the rival gangs who were bootleggers. And they were like, yeah, Lucky Luciano was the Italian one, then fucking Timmy O'Callahan was the Irish one, then they got the blah blah blah, and they're like, yeah, he was a Polak. And I was like, wait a second, is that an actual thing? I thought that was a racial slur. So I don't fucking know. But no, it doesn't quite rhyme. Some rappers could make it rhyme, though. Anyway, this is kind of a longer one, but we're going to roll with it. Hey, Wax, I'm really happy to hear that you can actually make money from the podcast. I went on and completed the survey like a minute after you posted it. Hope it'll all go through. Because I'm the OG listener, I guess. Been there from episode 1, although I missed a bunch of them. I remember talking to you about it in Hamburg the last time you were in Europe 4 years ago, all caps. You're right. Yeah, I deserve that. Yes, I'm riding the nostalgia wave you started in the life-changing episode 130 of the podcast. Haha. That was his first paragraph, and I'm going to say, yeah, I finally got an email about the advertising. Thank you guys for filling out that survey, but I had to fill out like another survey myself about like what kind of audience I have, what kind of person I am or whatever. So I'm still waiting on that. I don't know what's going on with the advertising thing. So from now on, for now, just enjoy this podcast being ad free. God damn. I remember exactly what show you're talking about. In Noosed in Hamburg. Hamburg is kind of like the Frankfurt, I guess, is kind of like that too, but it's like the modern, cool. I mean, Berlin too in its own way, but Hamburg had like a lot of like, the kind of restaurants that are in every city now. The modern restaurants with all the craft beer and fucking all concrete and wood structure. It's like Chipotle, but better as far as interior design. Anyway, I wanted to ask this. What is the best way to listen to your podcast? I mean, how can I make your numbers as big as possible? I usually stream them off your website or download them onto my MP3 player. I guess iTunes would be better. That's his first. That's a paragraph. To answer this, I don't think it matters. I think if you listen on iTunes or if you listen on my website or if you download it to your MP3 player, I think it all, for me, just counts as a download, I think. I don't know the answer to that, nor do I really care. You know what I mean? I don't really care too much about the numbers, although I would like them. They are now big enough to do this advertising shit, which is cool. A lot of people tell me I should put them on YouTube, and I understand that because I actually listen to podcasts on YouTube, so I understand why you would do that. Maybe I'll start a YouTube channel that's not, because I don't want to overload my YouTube channel, even though right now I put nothing on there, so I do the opposite of overload it, but I don't want to overload it with. I don't want to put 100 podcasts on there. So maybe I'll start a whole separate YouTube channel for Wax's podcast. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Some people say I should videotape the podcast, but like, if there was a camera on me right now, first of all, I wouldn't be as comfortable. Second of all, I'd have to even think somewhat of how I look like or whatever. And lastly, it'd be different if I had guests. You're just looking at me, you know? I'm not going to do like a fucking hour-long selfie video. This is more like the radio. What if I want to, you know, not now, but when I used to do it in my house, I'd be damn near naked sometimes. I'm sure some of you will tell me to videotape that. Wouldn't you? See my fucking peen? Peen. Where are we going here? Okay. Next paragraph. Interestingly enough, lately I've been exposed to a lot of discussions on alcohol addiction. Ooh, there's been a pseudo beef in the rap scene here in Poland because one guy criticized cutting off from the old drinking buddies as a form of cutting off the triggers, I guess. The other guy got touchy because he is a part of AA. And this brings me to this article. According to this, you are right to criticize AA. I don't remember criticizing AA. I was amazed that the success rate of the meetings is only at 5 to 8%, and yet is the dominant model of combating the addiction. They pointed to a sort of opioid therapy. I recommend reading the whole piece for more details, of course, but it's quite long. There's a TED Talk about the nature of addiction and its sources. He's talking about this article. I had actually read the article before, and it is indeed very long. It's on The Atlantic, and it's basically about... Now, think about it this way. Alcoholics Anonymous started in like the 30s, maybe even the 20s. And essentially, it's the 12 steps. And, you know, the first step is to realize that you have a problem and to realize that you're giving up, you're admitting that you're powerless. That's like the whole concept of Alcoholics Anonymous in any 12-step program. The first thing you do is admit you're powerless over the problem, and you have to give the power to God, however you see God. However you see it, a power greater than yourself. That's the first step. I think it's literally the first step in the 12 steps, but like, you know, it's definitely like the first thing you got to do. And, you know, it's 2017 now. You spend $30,000 for rehab, and essentially it's the steps that they take within the rehab are no different than a rehab would have been in the 30s. And the article kind of talks about, wait a second, this is the only portion of the medical community, addiction, that hasn't made no real changes in this amount of time. And it goes on to talk about how in Finland and even here in America, there's all these other things like there's opioid blockers. You know, the concept is that like if you're an alcoholic, you can't drink moderately, which is true for some people, I think. And these opioid blockers make it so if you take one before you start drinking, that feeling that you get after 3 beers where you're just like, I want more, is supposed to go away. And like, you know, in some large percentage of people, like you can go from drinking 12 beers in a session to just after 3 being fine to just stop drinking. It's kind of weird to have something that blocks your like what other pleasure or what other feelings does it block to? I don't know. It sounds weird to me. But then again, to drink a poison for pleasure is weird too, I guess. Yeah. So I don't remember criticizing AA. I'm sure I did on this podcast. I fucking talk a lot of shit. Who fucking knows what I said? I have no idea what the fuck I said in this 130 some hours of nonsense that I rambled. But it says at 5 to 8% success rate. That seems pretty low, but also consider that a lot of people that go to AA are not that fucking serious about it. You know what I mean? Probably 20% of them are forced to by law. Another 20% are kind of forced to by their family or spouse. You know, and then it's like, what's success? Like if you quit for 30 years, then go back. Are you not part of the 5 to 8% success? I don't know. A lot of people quit for a long time with the AA. AA really, I think the value in AA is like, you know, when it gets to that point in the day, you get off work, get home, you want to drink. Instead of getting a drink, you go to a meeting where there's a bunch of other people that also want to fucking drink. And you talk about about it, and it kind of just like, it's really just like group therapy. It's like being with other people is helpful and sharing your experiences and being like, oh, it's not just me. There's other people out here just like me. So it makes sense. Um, I mean, watch that Prohibition documentary. They talks about this shit. This same shit's been going on. It's really that documentary is so fucking interesting. I actually might fucking start watching the next episode right after this podcast. My favorite thing about it is, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, that I think the official federal prohibition started in 1919, but the temperance movement started in the late 1800s, and there's so many fucking parallels to everything now. A big part of all the early breweries in the United States were really started by German immigrants, and when the temperance movement, which of course was heavily sponsored by the church, when it first got big, especially when World War I came about and we were fighting against Germany, people were burning school books that were for learning how to speak German. There was a couple of cases of lynchings of German people, and German people were looked at as the other, just like how now it's might be Muslims or Mexicans. Also mentioned in the book is how the Irish and Italians were treated the same way when they were new immigrants. Of course, now that is all changed into white. But the same shit with alcohol is now going on with marijuana. They actually legalize alcohol for medicinal purposes in some areas. And there's all kinds of corruption and shit. But if you watch it, like it's just like, it just kind of shows you that there's this fight. It was conservatives versus liberals then. The conservatives, especially the church-based ones, saw alcohol as this evil, which obviously there is a level of evil in a fucking man that has a family spending his paycheck getting drunk rather than buying food for his children. But at that time the temperance movement was very heavily women. It was a women's movement against the alcohol that led their men to do shitty things. And the other side of it, people who thought you should be able to drink were pretty much saying like, why are you telling me what I can and can't do with my fucking body? I get one life to live. You tell me I can't fucking drink because you don't think it's a good thing? Fuck you. So it's religious people that want to run everybody's life. And then it's people who think that you shouldn't be able to run everybody's life. Conservatives versus liberals. The nature of human beings to kind of want to get fucked up, Like, if you just because there was prohibition doesn't mean that people aren't going to drink. It was interesting, like once they got they made it law, and then they put another year before it became they signed the bill. It was an amendment to the Constitution. They signed it, ratified it, and then there was a year after it was ratified, I think, to give people that made their living off alcohol a chance to transition. And I guess when the law came into effect, there was a period of time where a lot of Americans really tried to live without alcohol. But then eventually, of course, obviously, it became a violent, underground, illegal trade. I don't know, it's really interesting. You can see so many parallels now. People talking about how, Donald Trump is always talking about how fucking drugs are poisoning America. But just because you build a wall in Mexico, the guy in fucking Connecticut who wants cocaine or heroin, he's not going to want it anymore. Not to mention the legal drugs. God damn, when I listen to rap nowadays, ain't none of the shit they're talking about come from Mexico or South America. They're talking about lean. They're talking about Percocet, Molly. Shit comes from laboratories right here in the U.S. Anyway, Oleg actually had the last word today. Oleg, his email was the last email I received. So that's yet another episode of Wax's podcast. In the can, down the tubes, in the toilet. I don't know. You judge for yourself how to word it. Hopefully you had a great time listening to this. Maybe you didn't. I have no idea. Are these things interesting? It's very hard to judge when you're on my end of the stick here. My end of the 2 cups with a string tied together. Come see me. If you listen to this right when it comes out, come see me tonight. And you're in LA. Come see me tonight. 10 p.m. The Improv, Hollywood. Be safe out there.